Hi everyone. Good evening. Uh, Quick audio video check. Are you able to see me on the screen? Are you able to hear me? Hi everyone. Good evening. Quick audio video check. Are you able to see me at the screen? Hi everyone. Are you able to hear me? Super, super. Thanks for the comments that you're able to hear me, you're able to see me. We'll start in about a minute. Super, super. Thanks for the comments. You're able to hear me, you're able to see me. We'll start in about a minute. Right, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second session of live Q&A. In this session also, we'll start by answering questions that you had posted either on the social media handles, YouTube community, or sent it through WhatsApp or Telegram to us. We'll start with a few questions which many of you have asked. I've just picked some of the questions which basically seem to have covered the flavor of what most of you wanted to know, right? That's about 6-7 questions. Subsequently, we'll end the session by taking a quick look at the chat window to see what are all the questions that have come, and some of those which I can answer readily, I'll do it right then and there. Whatever I need to do a bit of research before I can answer, we'll reserve it for the next session, right? With that, we'll get started. Thanks for joining me. The first question that you're going to be taking today is this: is doing an MIM or MBA program from top 50 universities abroad valuable in India? What is the scope of job opportunities here? Uh, right, it is definitely valuable, right? If you graduate from the top 50 universities outside India, right, be it from the US, Europe, or elsewhere, it definitely has a great value in India. For want of a better thing, if I can, I would say that it would get the same value as probably the top 10 business schools. But to be a little conservative, I'll say you will definitely get as much value as what you would get if you graduated from a top 20 business schools in India. Right. So if you graduated from, let's say, IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, Calcutta, XLRI, FMS, ISB, any of these places, whatever kind of jobs you're likely to have got in a sector of your choice, a similar job is likely to be available to you if you graduated from the top 50 business schools, if you're coming back to India for it. The question uh, is it meaningful? Right? It could be meaningful for some, it need not be for others, right? The essential thing that I'm trying to talk about is the payback period of the investment that has gone into your MBA program, or the return on investment as you would call it, right? If you had gone and done an MBA, let's say with a 100% tuition fee waiver, and in some cases you might have even got some scholarships to do it. We have got students who have done that, right? So if that is the case, your investment into the MBA is possibly the 2-year opportunity cost of not working for during that MBA period. So you did not shell out any money at all. The school paid for it. In that case, you could choose to come back to India, and whichever company you're working, your return on investment as a concept does not exist, because the return on investment, the denominator is zero, then you have infinite return on investment in that case. But on the other hand, if you, let's say you got only part tuition fee waiver, you have to borrow for completing the rest of the course, right? As in to pay for the remaining tuition fee, you have to borrow even if you got 100% tuition fee waiver for the living expenses. Then coming to an Indian job, the ROA or the payback is not going to be great. Let's just look at if you graduated from the top 50 business schools in the US, right? Things when they look up, right now it's a little sketchy. US is coming out of all of this in probably 2 to 3 months. Things should be a lot better than what they are right now. You would start off, if you had, let's say, a pre-MBA experience of 3 to 4 years and you graduated from the top 50 business schools, at a conservative note, you will start off with $100,000 or $110,000 gross pay. Now, after taxes, after living expenses, give or take, right? Taxes would take away 30%. So we are taking about $33,000 from there. So we are talking about roughly about $80,000 in your hand at this point in time. And let's say your living expenses are about $4,000, another $50,000 taken away from there. So you get to save a net of 30,000 US dollars. If you worked in the US for 1 year in the OPT program, or if you did a STEM MBA and did a 3-year OPT program, you got to save on an average of anything from 90 to 120,000 US dollars, budgeting for your pay increases and sign-on bonuses and year-end incentives and all of those thrown in. That could easily repay any loan that you would have taken for completing the MBA program outside India. So if you did a STEM MBA with a 3-year option of working in the US and you worked in the US for 3 years, you would have covered all your financial burdens. And then let's say you chose to come back to India, it would have been a lot better. Conversely, you come back to India immediately after an MBA and you have a loan. Let's leave the amount right now. You're likely to join a job in India which at best could pay you about 20-22 lakh Indian rupees gross pay or cost to company. The same taxation and everything goes, right? Take 35% away for tax, so that takes away 6-7 lakhs living expenses. You're probably going to be left with, if you're extremely frugal, anywhere between 5 to 6 lakhs of Indian rupees. Convert that into US dollar terms, that's not even $10,000, right? So each year you were able to save $30,000 while we're in the US. On the contrary, if you jumped into a job directly in India, you probably would, as in very conservatively, about 7,000 US dollars is what you're likely to be saving. So the payback period of the loan, the return on investment, is going to be that much higher. So if you had a scholarship, if you did not pay anything for your MBA and you wanted to come back to India immediately, no questions asked. It's a great thing to happen, right? So you did not pay for anything, you want to work in India, you're going to get a job which would pay you at least as much as what an IIM Ahmedabad graduate is likely to have got, or the top-notch MBA from India is likely to have got, and everything is hanky-dory. But if you borrow to do an MBA, suggestion is, the immediate term, you're better off taking up an international job. Work abroad, get your loan out of your picture, save something if you want to, probably extending it by a couple of more years, and then you can possibly come back to India, right? So if you borrowed, I don't think it's a wise decision to immediately come back to India unless you landed up with a job which paid you a salary which is probably 70% of what you would have got in the US. Then it makes sense to come back to India, right? So this possibly puts a perspective. Are the job opportunities good in India? Yes, but the kind of the $75 to rupee exchange rate makes it so much more meaningful to work abroad if you have a loan in hand, right? So that's first question. More to the second one. This is specifically asking about MBA programs in India. This was what the question was. What are the deadlines? What are the top business schools? What's the application process and what are the scores? I'll just address it. The top business schools will include schools such as ESMT, Mannheim, Frankfurt School of Business, Finance and Business, ESCAP Berlin, right? All of these are good schools. The top 10 programs in Germany will definitely have significant value for you in terms of not only recognition within Germany and Europe, even outside that, right? International recognition for these top 10 programs are brilliant, right? So keep this in mind. So if you go to one of the top 10 programs, it makes sense to go for it. Right. What is the typical duration of these programs? Most of these programs in Europe in general itself, and specifically in Germany, are 1-year programs. The calendar starts sometime in January and gets over by December or early next January. So this is the kind of a window that they are looking at, right? This application or the admission process is pretty much the same as what you would see in any international business school. You need to have a test score, which is GMAT or GRE. You need to write essays or statement of purposes, a resume, and it will be followed by an interview, and it will be made an offer if everything goes well, right? So the process is not very different, right? So it's going to be pretty much the same there. What's going to be a competitive score for a given profile? Let's say if you'll have to probably comparing it, if you're looking at getting into the top 20 programs in the US, a score of 700 plus is probably what you would have required. Whereas when it comes to Germany, it might be a little lower. 650 plus 660 itself could get you into a school, all other things going well, right? So if you're looking at top 20 in the US, you would have probably required a 700 plus. The same candidate to get into a top school, top 10 school in the Germany, the number might be a little lesser because they're probably going to look at more parameters, not just because of competitiveness. The number of people who apply to it is probably a lot lesser than the top 20 business schools in the US. So a lesser number would suffice. These are all the important things. I want to walk you through two important parameters at this point. If you're planning to study in Germany and you're thinking that you're going to be starting your MBA program, let's say in 2022 January, you've written your GMAT, you're applying right now, got an admission, the most important thing you have to do is to get proficiency in German, right? The course is taught in all of these business schools in English. right? Your peer group is going to comprise people, all of whom will communicate with you in English, right? The medium of instruction is English. The profs speak English. Most people in the school will speak in English. If you go to the library, if you go to the admissions office, if you go to the career counseling center, your fellow colleagues, classmates, everyone will speak English, right? No problem at all. But your job prospects, your career opportunities, your growth is purely a function of whether you are able to converse, whether you're able to communicate effectively in German. So if you plan to go to a business school in Germany, if you have not already started learning German, start that right now. Go through those programs, A level, B level, go even to the C level, right? If you can communicate effectively in German, by the time you complete the program, the MBA program, you're more often than not likely to land up with a much better job than someone who's just done enough German to qualify for the pre-qualifications of being in that particular program. Right, so do as much German as you can. So read a lot, watch German movies, speak to people, communicate, converse, become familiar in German. As in, your proficiency in German is what is going to translate into a job for an international student, right? What you did in the business school will matter, but I would say that more than what you did in the business school, how much of German you know is probably going to matter. And if you really know good German, if you can converse very well, right, in German, that's actually going to be a selling point for you, right? For an Indian who's expected to know English and basically say Guten Morgen or one or two words, like me who knows a little bit of German, little bit is like 4 words in German kind of people. If you can actually converse in German, then it basically is, hey, I didn't expect this guy to know so much of German, and that basically is a surprise factor, and that could basically translate into a good job for you. So if you're planning to go to Germany, thing is, invest a lot in the German language, right? Speak well, write well, be very, as in, you should be as comfortable in German as you are probably in English, right? So that's one thing. I have requested 2 of our alumni, right? Pramod and Aprajit. Pramod, I've reached out to him. Aprajit has confirmed that he'll be happy to do this session. We'll figure out a way of doing a live session with them on board. Both of them if possible, or at least one of them, depending upon how their schedule and like logistics work out. I'll basically be a facilitator. That session, whenever we are going to have that session, throw in your questions. We'll start with these basic questions that someone has asked and ask them to speak about it. The kind of jobs that they've had. Both of them are working in Germany right now. Both of them graduated from ESMT Berlin, right? Why they chose the school, what they got from the school, how learning German helped them, and where they are right now, and where they see the scope of anyone doing an MBA in Germany is, right? All of these will be there. We'll also keep it a little more open that day than our structured Q&A sessions of this kind, where we'll take more questions in the chat window and basically ask them to answer it live, right? So we'll figure out a session, we'll figure out a logistics for that. As of now, I know that Pramod has agreed to it. Date, time, how to go about it, we'll just figure out and get back to you, right? Next question. How different are the processes or deadlines for Indian business schools, especially for the PGPX programs offered by the IIMs? To a large extent, it is more or less the same as what you would expect from any international business school. Right, this 1-year PGPX program, or like EMBA program as they call it, depending upon whether the MHRD is going to allow them to do that, is basically pitching itself as a program where right from the admission process to the test scores to everything, they want to pitch it on par with what would happen in a US or an European business school. So process is pretty much the same. I'll start with the process in a while, but before that, since I've got the deadlines as my first point, IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta typically have 3 rounds of application window. Right, it starts as early as August of a year and goes on till the January of next year. Look at the school's respective websites. You'll know when the deadlines for this year are, and catch those deadlines depending upon whether your application is ready in terms of your GMAT score and your statement of purpose. Right, IML has 2 rounds. Some schools like IIM Indore have even gone to the extent of saying what their admission criterion is. They basically are going to admit you based on 50% of the weightage is given to GMAT score, and the remaining 50% is given for the interview. So essentially, the application is done in anything from 1 to 3 rounds depending upon which school you are looking at. In addition to these IIM programs, obviously the ISB program is a 1-year MBA, right? And you also have a program from XLRA, which is called the Postgraduate Diploma in General Management, that also requires you to have 5 years of experience before you can get into the program. It's also a brilliant program. GMAT or XAT are the 2 test scores that they take for that program. So these are all the programs. The process is more or less the same. I'll say why more or less. You need to have a test score, GMAT. In the Indian context, if you don't come from a background which brings in significant diversity to the table, right? If you come from IT background, if you come from any of these common backgrounds that you expect a business school graduate to be from, right? Financial sectors, marketing, right? You come from those backgrounds, I would say that you would require anything from 680 plus or 700 plus is what is going to be a competitive score. If you come from a really diversified background, probably that number could be a 660, right? I would say bat for a 700 plus as a GMAT score that you're going to be working on. Most of these schools will ask you to write an SOP at the application stage. A few of them might have the first cut application as just objective details about what you are about, right? It's like filling in any application form for like typically go into an online application form and you fill up your name, age, where you studied, how much score you got, how many years of experience. That's it. They'll ask you to write the SOP only after they have shortlisted you. This happens. So it's a mix of two. So you either have to have an SOP ready on the date of the application or a little later. Subsequently, they'll look at a profile evaluation and then they'll call you for an interview. Sometimes the interview process is preceded with a presentation that you'll have to do. Sometimes it is basically an interview process. So this is what happens. Now it is more or less, where is the more or less coming into picture, right? The interview process with Indian business schools is a little different from the way the interview process happens with schools abroad. Schools abroad, they basically do an interview. When they do an interview with you, their primary interest is you. They're going to be looking at what have you done in the past, which comes from your past resume. What do you want to do, right? Your career goals, your career objectives. They focus a lot on that. And then they like to see how that MBA program is going to be a bridge between what you did in the past and what you want to do in the future, right? You're unlikely to get a question as to at what price did Elon Musk get into when he invested $1.5 billion into Bitcoin, and what is the price right now today, right? They're not going to be asking you something like this. This is how international business schools work. Indian business schools will ask about your career goals, certainly yes, but they could go even to the extent of asking you to solve an integration question, right? The Indian business schools want to check out whether you're aware of what's happening around you, whether you're aware of your industry, whether you're aware of things that you learned while at college and school. So these things do matter. Schools such as IIM Ahmedabad also place a lot of emphasis on your previous education. You might have 8 to 9 years of work experience, and you might have just possibly scraped your undergraduate. On a 10-point grade scale, you probably would have had only a 6.2 with 4 backlogs as part of your process. IIM Ahmedabad is not going to look at you favorably, even if you had 740 plus. They'll have a lot of reservation. They would have provided admissions to few exceptions, but they're going to be very worried about your past undergraduate academics, right? So if you have poor academics, IIM Ahmedabad is a place where you'll have to really be ready to answer why you had poor academics in the past. The other schools are not so finicky, especially if you have a lot of experience. IIM Ahmedabad, even for someone with 10 years experience, they'll want someone who would have had a clean record all through, right? So it varies from schools to school, but the interviewing process in India can throw sometimes nasty surprises, right? Whereas like in the US, they're not going to be asking this. They're not interested in whether you have general awareness, whether you're right. They're only focusing on who you are and whether you're a fit to the culture of the school and whether that MBA program is going to add value to you, and also that you're not going to be a liability to them at the end of the 2-year program. As in, like, will you land up with a job? Are you going to be an alumnus that they're going to be proud of? That's the kind of evaluation that they do. They're not interested in general knowledge. So these are the things to keep in mind. So process is pretty much the same. Deadlines happen 3 rounds. The academic calendar begins in April of a year and ends by February end or March of the next year. So these are the things about the PGPX program. Lovely programs. If you're looking at a career opportunity in India for someone who's got 5+ years of experience, right? Mid-career people who want to look at a significant growth in their career, this is the program that you should be looking at, right? These are wonderful programs to be in, right? Next question. So should a fresher with 6 months of work experience prepare for GMAT? Certainly yes. There is no doubt at all. You most certainly can do that, and you should do that. Why should you do that? Right? Basically, as a fresher, there are programs that you can apply to. The Masters in Management program, the MS in International Business program, the MS in Management program. These are programs which are available to people without work experience. But if you choose to go for an MBA program, right, the best time to actually prepare for is when you're a fresher, when you're still in your final year of college, or you're just graduated. It basically is primarily because the scores are valid for 5 years. Get the GMAT score in hand. Why is that? Why should you get the GMAT score right now? Why not wait for a few more years when you're ready to apply? 2 reasons, right? When you're a fresher, the kind of time commitment that you'll have towards your work are going to be a lot lesser than what you would have to provide to your work when you grow up in the ladder in the organization. someone with 3+ years of experience, the amount of work pressure that you're going to have is likely to be lesser than someone with just 6 months of experience, right? You can easily squeeze in 2 to 3 hours of preparation every day in addition to your work life if you're already working. If you're not working and you're a fresher, then there's no excuse at all. This is the best time to prepare. Before you land a job, get the GMAT score in hand. The GMAT score is valid for 5 years. This is a time when you have ample time to prepare, lesser responsibilities, quite likely that you don't have any personal commitment on your time also. Right? People with 3 to 5 years of experience, if they are married, if they're committed, their family requirements, commitment on time is all going to be higher. That to find time for GMAT on top of all of this is going to be that much more of an Himalayan task for them than for someone with just 6 months of experience, right? Next thing I would also tell you is like, you're just fresh out of college. You prepared for history in college, you prepared for engineering in college, you prepared for medicine in college, really doesn't matter. Your time gap from the previous education is a lot lesser. So you've been in touch with education, that your ability to quickly get back to studying is that much better than someone who has worked for 10 years, right? 10 years, you've written proposals, you have done presentations, you have like managed people, you have met timelines, you've done all of that. The last thing that you would have probably done is picked up a book and solved questions on permutation combination or on critical reasoning, right? So someone who's just out of college, you're ideally suited, and don't fritter away this time. This is the best time to actually get your GMAT score in place. You can apply it anytime. If it's an MBA program, wait another 4 years, get 4 years of experience, apply when the score is going to expire in the last year. You have that much time. It's an MIM program that you want to do, you're ready to go immediately as soon as possible, right? So this is the question. The next questions are also pretty much along the line. I'll read the question and quickly top it up with a few points which I did not cover there. I have 1 more year to graduate, still in the final year of pre-final year of college, and I've started my GMAT preparation. Brilliant. When should I take my GMAT if I graduate in May 2022? There's a some follow-up question, so I'll quickly look at that question too, because I can answer both of these together. Is it okay if I appear for the GMAT exam this year, as I'll be graduating this year, and apply for business schools after gaining job experience of 2 to 3 years? Absolutely, you should. If you have to look at a time window for both of you, if you're going to be graduating this year, if you're going to be graduating next year, for the MIM programs, if as on date, I would say that you should take your GMAT ideally by 2021 September. This year September, if you plan to apply to the MIM programs, right? The first person wanted to apply after gaining experience. So if you're planning to do an MBA program, you're going to be graduating in May 2022. Immediately after your graduation, start preparing for your GMAT right now, right? Either immediately after semester examinations are over, or a month or so from that point in time, get your GMAT examination out of the way, right? Essentially, prepare, do your final semester examination. You'll have a month's gap before you take up a job or do whatever higher education, even if it is not an MBA. If you plan to do an MTech, MS, or MA, or any of those things, in that window of 1 month gap between completing your semester examination of the final year and taking up the next task, finish your GMAT, right? So MBA, why push it to May 2022 and why not September 2021? You're gaining easily about another 8-9 months more of validity for the GMAT score. The GMAT score is valid for 5 years. So if you took it in May 2022, it's going to be valid till May 2027. If you took it in September 2021, the validity ends by September 2026. If you are planning to apply to a 2027 starting MBA program, then you're that much better off with a May 2022 GMAT than a September 2021 GMAT, right? These are two things. Now, what should you do in the meantime, right? Finish the GMAT. Now that you have a GMAT score, it's like banking it. You know that is there. You can use it till 2027 May. Basically, work on building your profile. What are the components of building your profile, right? Get into social service, as in have something to say that you have things more than just your college education and work life, right? And having some entertainment that you have in life. You have done some social service that basically adds credibility to it. Is social service mandatory to apply to business schools? Certainly not. But now that you're starting out on the entire MBA journey immediately after your college, or even while you're in college, can you plug in that gap also into your resume? You certainly can. In that case, you certainly should plug in that gap. So because you're looking at an MBA program, which probably is going to start in 2025 or 2026, you have time to show this. See, many people try and ask me if they're planning to apply for a September application window. In the month of April, they'll say, can I start doing anything for NGOs or social service? It is going to be too obvious that you've done this only for this application thing. And in 4 months, you cannot do anything meaningful. If you are not a person who was into social service for so many years of your life, these 4 months, you suddenly could not have become that, right? So the last minute trying to do that is of no value. But if you're doing it for 3 years, that clearly points to the fact that you are into it. So you're credentializing it a lot better by starting it right now. pick up a couple of extracurriculars. So that also tells you, because there are many times, I've had a student who did her MBA from Darden. When she went for the Darden interview, she interviewed at Darden school. The interviewer, I do not know whether it's a admissions dean or whoever it is, that lady in her room, she had a music band's photo on her behind her desk. This lady who graduated from Darden, our student, she used to like that band and she used to sing as part of the Western music band of her college in undergraduation. And one of the favorite songs that she used to be singing was from that band. I don't even know what band it is. The point is that basically became the connecting point for them. Most of the interview, for the 25-minute interview, 15 to 18 minutes was discussion about that. Right? Sometimes you might have an extracurricular activity, your interests, things that you follow could match with that of the interviewer. If it happens to be that, that's a brilliant thing. If you say that I play football and you follow football, you do both. To a large extent, if you walk into any European business school, a typical European is going to be someone who is going to be following football and is going to enjoy talking about football for at least 5 minutes, right? Something you know about the European League, something you know about the Premier League, you can talk about it. Brilliant, right? So that basically gives you a good opening point. It opens doors, and it also tells them that you're culturally someone who would fit into it. If that person likes you, that's all that he's going to say. This student is culturally someone who will fit into the school. So for those things, it helps. Doesn't matter whether you apply to Canada, US, UK. All of these places you can get away with just knowing English. But even in those places, if you know French, or if you know Spanish, or if you know German, or if you know Mandarin, or any of these additional languages, you have 3-4 years to become good at those languages. That's going to keep your application and your resume much higher than someone who just knows English, right? An Indian candidate who went to the same school, did 2 years of education, has similar grades as you have, pretty much the same GMAT score, applying to a company in the US, and you doing the same thing, and he said, I know Mandarin, I know French, I know German, I've done this and I can converse in that. That basically means that you are that much better off. That company, if it's a multinational company, quite likely that international students will get placed there. They know that you have one more language. You can pitch to clients in that place. You can work in that office if required. So all of those things pitches your case better. So if you're in final year of college, if you're just about to finish college or pre-final year of college, you're going to be completing your GMAT by May 2022. Spend the next 2-3 years in terms of adding one more thing to your resume, basically additional languages. Right? Basic programming skills in Excel and Python, learn it. If you come from a computer science background, wonderful. If you come from an economics background, if you come from a sociology background, pick up these 2 skills. Once you go to a business school, Excel is going to be something where you need to know things, right? You need to know how to create pivot tables. You need to know how to work with Excel, the back of your left hand, and also pick up Python skills, right? Simple reason, a lot of things that happen today are basically analyzing data and data analytics, and Python plays a crucial role. So picking those skills during the next 3 years is going to be crucial. Attend virtual tours and webinars, right? From now, you're going to be applying only in 2026. Every time you come across any virtual tour, because these days it's basically no MBA tours, it's like virtual tours, attend those. So you know what is happening, which schools are good, who gives scholarship, what's the GMAT score that they basically was the score that they were looking at, right? What kind of jobs their students get, right? You basically network with the admissions officer right away. You can even say that I'm going to be applying only in 2026. I'm attending this tour right now. That basically, if you do it 2 years in a row, and the same admission officer is there in both the years, he or she is going to remember you for the simple reason, hey, this guy is like very keen on doing this, and you can connect with them, right? Attend their webinars whenever you have time, right? So get idea, build your repository of which are the schools that you want to apply to. Right? We're starting early. It's not just you're going to pick up a US news ranking and say this is a school I'm going to apply to, 8th rank, 15th rank, 20th rank. No, you would have attended 20-25 schools webinars, that you'll have a feeling that this is a school which is going to do justice to me. This is the school where I'll connect with the people. This is the school where the job opportunities in the place where it's located goes well with my career opportunities, right? You would have done enough thing, because an MBA is a more often than not once in a lifetime thing. It's a lot of investment, both in terms of money and in terms of your time. Even if it was paid for by the school, it's still, if the value for value, that would have cost you, if you had to pay about $100,000, someone gifted it to you. So you want to be absolutely sure that that gift is going to keep you in good stead for the rest of your life, right? So essentially do a lot of research because you're starting early. It's brilliant to do that. Lastly, get some certifications, right? If you plan to do, let's say, an MBA finally in finance, try and get some financial certifications, right? If you want to do it in logistics, see if you can get some certifications in that area, right? Build credibility, credentialization. This is not just to get an admit. This is going to keep you in good stead even later on. Clean up your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, create a LinkedIn profile. Try and follow people. Over a 3-year window, if you know that you're going to go into logistics industry, you can connect with people from the logistics sector soon enough. Try and get there even before you reach the business school. Many times, starting off in the final year of college, getting your GMAT out of the way and planning for an MBA 3 years from then is possibly the best thing that could happen. So make the best out of it. Don't just say that, hey, GMAT, I've written it. Done, dusted, right? हो गया यार, 3 साल के बाद सोचते हैं, right? That's not how you go about it. Do it then and there, right? So think, taken a lot more time on this because I wanted to emphasize, college students, you guys are best suited to take the GMAT. People who are just about to graduate, final year of college, do the best and clear these points and get there. Last one, how should I start preparing for GMAT? What resources should I refer to, right? This gets often asked quite often, so I'll many times the recipe is more or less the same. If you ask me to make pav bhaji, the recipe cannot be too different. So similarly, start with a diagnostic test, right? So you'll get to know where you stand. What's a good place to pick a diagnostic test? Pick it from mba.com. There are 2 free tests. Use one test right now. Take the test as a full length test. Take it for, do all the sections, probably with the exception of AWA. Do integrated reasoning, do quant, do verbal. Do it when you have about 2 hours 40 minutes in hands. Don't do it other than that. Switch off your phones, everything. Do it as if that examination mattered to you. Doesn't matter what score you get. Get a 700 in the diagnostic, wonderful. Get a 300 in the diagnostic, not a problem at all. At least you need to know where you stand and you've actually tasted one test fully. So you know this is what you're going to be doing 4 to 6 months from then, right? Get a 700 plus score, nothing less. Can you get an admit with 600? Yes. Can you get an admit with 640? Yes. Many of our students have done that too, who have a 640 or a 660. But a 700 plus opens more doors, puts you in this scheme of things where you can get some scholarship. So starting to target a 700 plus is what I would recommend that you do. A 700 plus is possible with a 4 to 6 months of preparation. Shortcuts for some people have done it in a month. Right. I know we had once a student way back in 2007. He was an army officer. He prepared for exactly 40 days and scored a 770 in the GMAT. Right. A very different kind of a person. Right. So the amount of effort that he did in those 40 days is like immense. He used to prepare for 12 hours a day. That's not possible for most of us. So give a 4 to 6 months window. Right. Anyone who says that I can do it in 30 days, they are probably good. They've probably taken the examinations such as CAT, GRE in the past, that translating to a GMAT in 30 days would have been possible for them. If you're not one such student, give 4 to 6 months. It's worth it. Next thing is how should I start preparing for it? Research, go take demo classes, evaluate, sign up for a course, right? I cannot emphasize, I'm not saying join Visa course, I'm not saying join this course, that course. Figure out some way to get assistance for your preparation. Free preparation resources are only going to go that far, right? Basically, you're not going to get mentoring, you're not going to get discussion board assistance, you're not going to have someone who's going to help you out with doubt clearance, you're not going to have someone who's going to help you when you hit the preparation blues, and you're not probably going to have even a structured way of preparing, right? You go to the forums, you go to YouTube, you go to any of these places where like free content is available. It's going to be in an unstructured fashion, and many times what might happen is you might do too well in one part of it and you might not do well in the other part because you would have just focused on getting material from one particular area, and you might have abundant content for one area and not have adequate content for the other area in the free resources. And a structured program basically optimizes your preparation time. Search cost is much higher. Many times you think that it doesn't cost anything to prepare from YouTube, but you'll have to hit right videos. You need to get videos for all of the topics that you want to eliminate the search cost. At the end of the day, you're doing an MBA. To optimally get value for the time that you invest during work, right? Do that at the stage itself, right? Pick a course. It could be a private tutor, it could be a self-study online program, it could be a live online course, it could be a physical classroom program if it is available in your place. Pick whatever suits you, but go with that. Go the extra mile, worth it, right? If, for example, I said 4 to 6 months, if it takes you 7 months to complete it, go that extra mile, right? Don't stop saying that I had one bunch of books, I prepared with it. Give everything that you have. That the 700 plus is going to open doors not just to business schools, it also puts you on a better platform when you're looking for summer internships and final placements, right? It's absolutely worth it. If you have to refer to 4 more sources because the sources provided you did not have adequate practice in area, go and do that. Find out whatever is required. If it's 700 questions that someone suggested you should prepare with, and you're planning to, only if you do 1000 will you get conversed into that area, do that 1000 questions to get there, right? It certainly is worth it. Once you're done with all of this preparation, once you know that you are in decent shape in terms of grasping what is happening, take mocks. Take anything from 6 to 8 mocks. Use it as a feedback loop. Every mock, analyze the mock. A 3-hour mock, your analysis should probably take you 6-7 hours to tell you areas that you need to improve on, low-hanging fruits that you can work on. Use it as a feedback loop. Do plug in those gaps, then come back and take the next mock. That's how you basically go about it. What are the free resources available? Visaco's YouTube channel has quite a lot of videos for you to prepare with, right? That's one place. Forums, right? GMAT Club, Beat the GMAT are forums that you can look at. And reading resources, right? Read a lot, because at least for the verbal section, how much more, how wide you have read is going to make a big difference. Good sources could be places like Washington Post, places like economist.com, scientificamerican.com. These are good websites from which you can read, right? So widen your reading habit. It's going to go a long way. This completes the last question before I take a look at the questions there. One quick way to follow us, to get information from us, is through this place, right? Follow us on the Telegram channel. This is the URL which is there, t.me/Visaco. Sign up. One, anything that we upload, any question that we post, any new thing that we do, we'll have it uploaded on this Telegram channel. And second, it's also a good way for you to ping us back on the same Telegram, as in like posting that we do, to figure out how we can help you out, right? So you can use this. If you're not into Telegram, these are all the other places that we exist, right? Most of our handles are Visaco GMAT or Visaco. It's Visaco on Telegram and YouTube, and Visaco GMAT in all other places, right? So this completes the preparation. Go ahead and turn and take a look at the questions that you've got here. I'll see if we can answer some of those readily. I'll do it right. Right. There's a question from Hardik Vyas. I'll start with that. 5 years in engineering with 6.05 CGPA, have 4+ years of full-time professional experience. Can I get into INSEAD and ISB? What GMAT score should I target? 4+ years of experience is like perfectly all right. Right, 5 years is what is the total number of experience you have. So you will qualify very comfortably, both in terms of the median age profile and the number of years of experience to both these schools. I would think that if it's ISB, you should probably look at a 720+, because your previous academic credentials are not up to the mark. And if it is, same would hold good for INSEAD also. Either of the campuses, Paris or Singapore, a 720+ GMAT score is going to help you a great deal, right? Profile, look at other components of it. What kind of job that you have done, whether you have had leadership roles that you have had during that point in time. So all of these things are going to be included, but purely from what you have said in terms of number of years of experience, educational background, and the GMAT score that you require. Given the educational background, I would think that a 720+ would need to bolster your case, saying that, hey, my previous academic record is probably not a true reflection of who I am. When I put my heart and soul into preparing for something, I could get something close to 90th percentile in the GMAT, right? Well above 90th percentile. So that's what you would showcase with the 720 in the GMAT. So you should look at that. Pratush Srivastava, September 2022 admissions. If you want to start your MBA, I'll read your question. I want to give GMAT in September for 2022 admission. Please suggest how to prepare. See, 2022 admission, when you say, I would take it as you want to apply for the August-September calendar of 2022. The admission calendar, the earliest round of deadline start by 2021 September. You will be able to do justice to your GMAT, but my only worry is you'll have to take the GMAT by mid-August or end August to be able to catch most of those deadlines. So talking about the whole of June, July and August, which is sufficient in most cases if you can invest about 4 to 6 hours of preparation a day. But if you can't invest that kind of time, only suggestion is don't worry about catching round one deadline, right? Many times people are so keen on catching a deadline that they end up actually preparing suboptimally for their GMAT, that let's say you end up with a score which is not to your liking. You anyway will have to take a GMAT again, which is going to be sometime in November, and then you'll like apply only with round 2. Yes, prepare for the GMAT. By August, take a mock. If your mock is, let's say you target a 720+, and your first mock score is a 690, and you know with a little bit of tweaking, with a little bit of feedback loop, another 5-6 mocks, you'll easily cross a 720, and you should go for it and catch round 1 deadline. But if you have a 720+ target, and let's say by August mid, you end up scoring a 590 in the GMAT, right? In about 15 days, to ramp it up from 590 to 720 is not so easy. Is it? I would say it's close to impossible. In that case, instead of worrying about catching round 1 deadline, my only suggestion is do justice to your GMAT. Give another 30 days, 45 days. September end, you'll certainly catch that 720 plus, because you've hit the entire preparation, you hit the mock stage, you're at 590, how you can tweak. The next mock will take you to 620. Be at it slowly and gradually, one step at a time. Push it to a 720 plus. That September end GMAT will give you a 720 plus. You might still be able to catch a few round 1 deadlines for some schools, but otherwise catch round 2 deadlines. A better application in round 2 is going to get you admission and scholarship than a not so great application in round 1. So don't be, can you catch it? You will be able to. But if it does not turn out to be good, if your mock scores, don't go headlong and say that I'll anyway write the GMAT. That's probably not what you should be doing. Right, I'll just look at it. Vedant Mishra, I'm a CA with a post-qualification experience of 3 years in KPMG, and I'm 95 plus in 10th, 12th, and 59% in graduation, and national level player. Considering my profile, what should be the minimum GMAT for ISB or SPJ IMR? See, KPMG, CA, all of these are going to come in handy for you, right? I think a 680 plus GMAT score itself should open doors in these places. Only area of concern is possibly that 59% in graduation. I presume, I might be wrong, you probably did a CA immediately after 12th standard and did a distance education program for your undergraduation. That possibly can be easily explained. Chartered accountants with the big names like KPMG, 3+ years of experience, 680 plus GMAT should do. 700 plus is going to be even better, right? Also think about, if you have a 700 plus, do you necessarily want to look at only these 2 schools in India, or do you want to expand your scope to schools outside India, right? Sometimes we are so focused on a couple of schools. 1, you may not get to that school. 2, those are probably things that may not necessarily serve your cause better, right? You might have better opportunities working elsewhere by doing an MBA outside India. So keep this perspective in mind. Hit a 700 plus, it'll open doors everywhere. 680 plus for these schools should suffice given your background, is my feeling. Quickly take a couple of more questions and then we'll call it a day. Parichay Joshi, about Germany, one has to have average score of 640. Please, if you can share average score required an MBA scenario for other countries too, it would be helpful. We'll do that, Parichay. I'll probably do one table as to what is the thing. I would look at a typical Indian profile and what is the kind of scores that would get an admit into the top schools from that place. I'll take this question as a question for the next session. So that I give you data which is backed by what is the median scores of those schools. Right? I don't want to shoot from my hip right away. Deepak Bangar, I'll take this, and Tanvi Associates. These are the 2 questions and I'll end the session today. I'm an MBBS MD with 14 years of pharmaceutical industry experience. Would it be a good idea to go for 1 year MBA from the IIMs? Certainly yes. We have had people who've got 18, 19 years of experience who have done 1 year MBA from the IIMs and have found great value in those programs. They probably hit the glass ceiling in terms of where their career can go without that MBA. Many of them scored a 700 plus to basically showcase the fact that they're still good enough to meet the academic rigor. So with the 14 years of experience coming from it, not non-mathematical background, a medical background, have a 700 plus GMAT score that would basically put everyone at ease in terms of their capability to handle it. It is worth doing it. So much that's happening in the healthcare sector, notwithstanding this pandemic, that the sector is, many people keep this as one of the sectors which is going to be a growth sector for the future, as in next 20-30 years to come. Having an MBA and moving into a management space in this is wonderful. You should try it. Tanvi, what are the opportunities for a 33 or 34-year-old professional with 9 years experience in pharma manufacturing field? Do Indian colleges accept such candidates? Absolutely yes, absolutely yes, right? Especially the PGPX programs, leaving IIM Bangalore, which typically would look at people with 5 to 8 years, 9 years. They don't want people with too much experience. The IIM Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, all of these programs take people with a lot of experience. Many of these programs have 100 months, 108 months, which is like 8 to 9 years as the average or the median experience for their group. You'd be a little above the median, but there are people who have made it. We've had students with 14 years of experience from earth moving company experience. We've had people with commercial shipping industry experience who was 42 years old when he joined the PGPX program. So 34, 33, you should look at it. It definitely is worth it, right? That's the last question I've taken because it's stretched a lot today in terms of time. Thanks for being a part of this session. Best wishes. We'll have the next session the Friday after next. We'll take more questions. We'll get those questions. Parichay, I'll keep in mind your question and we'll certainly include it for the next one. Best wishes for a GMAT preparation. Stay safe. Uh, India is unlocking in many states, but I would still want you people to stay extremely safe and careful about what you do. Use the extra time that you get as part of working from home and the lockdown things to prepare for your GMAT. It's a good way to ramp up your preparation. Once things open up, you're going to be running around, commute, everything is going to catch up. So use this opportunity to the best. Thank you very much.